Once upon a time, about 6 weeks ago, I watched a movie called The Hunted, Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, for the very first time in my life. I've known about this style of knife here, this tracker, for a while, but to be honest, it was one that I just kind of forgot about it. The reason why I knew about it is because my dad carried one. He carried a knife that was very similar to this. This is also considered a tracker. It's not a Tom Brown tracker. Debate. We don't really know if that's a Tom Brown tracker. I mean, that's not a Tom Brown tracker. That's a Vanderer knife. But so I think my dad. I don't know. Dad carried one in the late '90s, early 2000s for sure. It was bigger than this. It was probably a Model 1. This is closer to the size of a Model 3 tracker. I ain't ever given much thought. I've seen them used, and I've used them myself, but it's just been something. When Courtney got her Tops Knives Lioness Elite, that was Leo. Man, what's his last name? Esponza? I can't remember. She got her Tops Lioness Elite, and there was a magazine that came with it, a catalog. And in that catalog, I saw this knife, and I saw the tracker 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 4. I was like, oh man, it's been a long time since I saw a knife like that. I didn't know what it was called, didn't know what the style was, didn't know who invented it, didn't know anything about it. I was going to order one from Tops, and I started looking up videos because that's what I do, right? When I started looking at videos, I started seeing all this controversy. Rob Russon's name started popping up. Chuck somebody's name starts popping up. Tom Brown's name starts popping up. Tom Brown's name is on the knife. And the story, the story's interesting. It is. But I got some mixed feelings about it, man. And I don't want to be like an advocate of design thieves or anything, but this is the story in a nutshell, just in case you never listened to the videos. Rob Russon's son has got a great video where he sits down with his dad and they talk about his dad's was a fan of Tom Brown's novels, and they had a correspondence. It was a letter. The question arose, hey man, like that knife that you talk about in there, how would your perfect knife be made that could do everything? Tom Brown sent him back a letter months later, letting him know, unfortunately, that knife couldn't be made. Probably, that's why trackers and hunters, always carry several different knives with them. But in the Hollywood world, or not the Hollywood world, but in the fiction world, he could have a knife that would do it all. So Rob Russon made a prototype, sent it to Tom Brown. Tom Brown said, "This is perfect. This is it. This is perfect." I think he made 3 prototypes. Tom Brown tried to sell some for him. Over the course of some years, there was Tom Brown had a survival course in New Jersey that you could sign up for, and when you got out of there, you'd be more efficient in the wilderness or whatever. And the plan was, according to Tom Brown, was to get Rob Russon to make these knives, and that was designed for him. It's exactly how Tom Brown put that in his magazine. He had like a catalog or a magazine that would come out. This is pre-Tops days. He was like, knife designer Rob Russon is masterfully skilled, or has masterfully created this knife, and this is like 1984, 85, something like that. You can see this in those magazines. Supposedly, I don't have one of those magazines, so I couldn't tell you for a fact, but they show one on the video, and it shows a picture of the knife, and it's got a saw back though. very similar to this otherwise, but it's got a, it's a sawback. But I mean, in a nutshell, kind of what happened was Tom Brown asked, like, hey, I need like 250 or 300 of these made, something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers. You can go back and check those videos out for more precise details. And Rob Russon had a full-time job, and he was making them all one at a time. So he didn't have the option to make those knives. 20 some odd years later, they make a movie called The Hunted. It's a movie that was, kind of loosely based on Tom Brown. And they put, they used the knife in the movie. Rob Russon doesn't really have any ill feelings because from what I gather, it would be kind of my view on it too, is he had the opportunity to move forward with it. They never could agree on a price. Like, like they couldn't mass produce them cheaply and get them to an affordable range in the 80s. So they, like Rob Russon just let the idea die. Now, like before the movie, for about 10 years, somebody else named Chuck, I can't remember his last name, was making the knife for Tom Brown, for the survival school. And it didn't appear that Russon's had any problem with that at all. In fact, the dude that actually invented the knife, Rob Russon, doesn't seem to have much of an issue with any of it because, like, he couldn't proceed with the knife, so like he just felt like the idea was kind of dissolved. After the movie was made, they, obviously Tops, or it may have been before the movie was made, y'all. Like, I mean, this would have been between 2001, 2003 or so. Tops got with Tom Brown, or Tom Brown got with Tops, and they created the Tom Brown Tracker, which is a Rob Russon design, which I feel like he should get credit for. However, the ship sailed 20 years ago. It at least sailed 10 years ago when, like at the point where they knew the knife was being produced by somebody else and they weren't taking action, they kind of walked away from it, like, for good, so just got the Becker out there that's my bluing job. But this knife, the Avenger doesn't, they don't make a tracker for production. This was like a one-off. And it was, I'm glad I got one that doesn't have like Russon's name on it or Tom Brown's name on it. The drama is very, very knife worldy. There's a lot of knife worldy drama behind it. God knows what all the truth is, and what all opportunities people have had over the years to make things right or whatever. But the way I see it, like Tom Brown was like, man, you made the knife I asked for, and we need to get it out there. 20 years later, like is when it started becoming available to the public. Like it would appear to me that everybody walked away from the idea. I don't think the Russons were continuing to make the tracker throughout the years. Now after the success of the tracker from Tops, Rob's son, I think it was Russon Knives, something like that. Like you can find his website. I've tried to contact him to order a Russon tracker at one point, and I didn't get a response back. So I don't know if he's still making knives or if logistics are just kind of iffy or what. But I couldn't. I never got a response back. So in the end, man, my personal feelings about it was, like, the original designer had the opportunity. He did not feel like the leap of faith was worth taking to leave his job. I don't blame him. We've all had probably opportunities, maybe not this extreme, but we've all had opportunities at some point. Like, I've had an opportunity to buy a semi truck and a trailer, and I didn't want to take the leap of faith because I felt like the job that I've got now, is stable enough, and I wouldn't have to worry about fuel costs and tire costs. But who knows what that company would have been if I would have taken that leap of faith. It's still not too late to take that leap of faith type thing. But like that leaps of faith, that's why they call them leaps of faith. Is because you're going all in on something. So like he wasn't prepared to take that leap of faith in his life, but he voluntarily made a knife to fit the knife that was like cooked up in Tom Brown's head, in a way, in a manner of speaking. He did birth the idea of a knife that would do multiple different things, but when it come to pen and paper, that was all Rob Russon. So it it would it would be great to see credit given where credit is, you know, credit given where credit's due. It would be great to see that. But often in the knife world, we see, thievery, and we accept it. It's like, you know, uh, this might not be that popular of an opinion. It might cost me some people. I don't know. I don't really care anymore. But like, that every man's pocket EDC, EMP EDC, the relative. When he, that knife right there, when that guy had the nimble made, he had QSP make the nimble. He was in contract with QSP. QSP was making his designs for him. When he sent the design over for the knife called the relative, QSP and he could not reach an agreement on materials and cost and whatever. So he went to Best Tech and had the relative made. Like not long after they saw those blueprints, QSP, what did QSP do? And this is I don't know if you've just how many times have you guys heard me say anything about QSP on this channel? There's a reason for that. I don't talk about QSPs ever. And the reason behind that is because of this shady shit. Like QSP, they come out with a Rhino. And it kind of pisses me off to see so many knife reviewers that know what's going on, to just eat crow and accept it. Like they can do a review on the Rhino, they'll do a review on the relative within a couple of weeks of each other, and not, they can't. They're either not observant enough to make the to come up with the conclusion in their own head of what's going on there, or they don't care, and like so like I don't talk about QSP. This will be the only video you'll ever hear me say anything about any QSP model, and it's just because it's a modern, and that maker doesn't seem to care, so if he don't care, why should I care? Because like he's not. I mean, like that's probably more than he could chew. If he was to bite that problem, it'd probably be more than he could chew in litigation. Or litigate. He might know that his attempts would be epically failed. He might not want to cause any more drama in the knife world. I don't know what the reason is, but as far as I know, he hasn't come out publicly and defended or tried to at least take claim to the Rhino. Of course they made some subtle changes, man, but subtle changes is all it is. And that's what, like it's this type of shit right here, man, China does what China does. And like, depending on how you feel about it at the end of the day, it kind of constitutes, what your feelings will be on the matter of doing business with these types of people, and it kind of, it sucks because it limits you, man. I mean, I'm excited about models that are coming out now from China that remind me heavily of U.S. designs. It's not an exact copy or anything. They've changed it up a little bit, but even some U.S. designers are copying other U.S. designers, and I'm not talking about like I mean, look at the Bowie knife, man. Like, we don't know where it come from. Not the, we know that, it was Jim Bowie, his brother, Arkansas. It's like the state or the home of the Bowie knife and stuff like that. We understand that much, but like, we don't know exactly how the style had grown over the years, whose name should be attached to the final design, um, and all that stuff. But it's so long ago that we don't really care. So you'll see every company under the sun, whether it be K-Bar, Tops, uh, you know, everybody makes a Bowie knife, and everybody's okay with that. But at least they're calling it a Bowie knife, when they're doing it. This knife. The reason why I broke this knife out is because it is not. It doesn't look anything like a tracker, but it's a multi-purpose knife. It was made with other intentions in mind. As far as tracking is concerned, it's a hunter-killer tracker, and like that's a hunting knife. And it definitely be a skinning knife, and you kill game with it, and it's a tracking knife. So like, without the birth of the tracker, you wouldn't have crazy stuff like this. And like, we've got like an inch back here that's like, it works very similar to this little pocket here. And I'm at the end of the day, dude, the way I feel about it is, at least they're still putting tracker in the name. Like, it's, like, hey, like, it's not the same design, but we'll give homage to whoever designed the tracker. Like, and as of right now, we don't know any more or any less, really. As far as litigation is concerned, I don't know if it's been worth it to try to take on people for stealing designs. I don't. It doesn't affect me directly, but it's sad, like, to see how this community, it's a great community, but every community obviously has people who are, like, will take full advantage, walk all over people, and this community is no exception. And it I heard Shane Gables say the other day on one of his lives. He was like, I don't really feel sorry for that at all. He sent that, he sent that file over to QSP, and QSP released the Rhino, and it's a good knife, blah 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 blah. And he should have known better. Man, he was, in one way I agree with Shane, everything he's saying, but on the other hand, he was in contract with QSP. Shouldn't have been able to trust him with his designs. Like, legitimately, like, if China had copyright laws, because they don't, just in case you don't know, like, they don't have copyright laws like we got copyright laws. And what do you call it? Like, the digital information, the intelligence, all that stuff doesn't mean anything to them. Only if they're copying each other does it mean anything. Like, if the design's coming from America, they can do whatever the hell they want to. But, it's crawling in bed with them is dangerous. I understood what Shane was saying. Cold Steel has knives made in China, right? Now, Cold Steel they don't have the Formax made in China, right? They got other knives that are made in China. I don't have any here, but because because the Chinese know who the Cold Steel is, because they make some of their knives, because they know who Cold Steel is, obtaining their products is a lot easier, I'm sure. Like, some knives that may have flew over the radar, does it surprise me that you can get this knife on AliExpress for $25, or the big version of it, maybe not a mini. That's a Todd Begg Steelcraft. You can get a knife that says Todd Begg Steelcraft on it. The pocket clip's in the wrong spot. It's definitely not done the same. Like, there's differences. But no, it don't surprise me at all that Todd Begg's all over AliExpress. It doesn't, and it doesn't surprise me at all that ZT's all over AliExpress, because Kershaw's all in China. So when ZT starts popping up on AliExpress, they really can't blame anybody but themselves, can they? You know, it's like the parent company sold them to China. You know, like, no, ZTs aren't made in China. No. The Chinese wouldn't know who the ZT was if they weren't making all the Kershaws. And at the end of the day, that's why we don't mind doing business with Taiwan. Are there Taiwan people that will steal our designs? Probably. I mean, there's Americans that'll steal our designs. You know, like, it's not about the people. It's about the culture that has done it over and over and over again. Man, there's not a knife. There's not a knife on this board here right now that I can't find a Chinese copy of. And they'll copy Taiwan. They'll copy Taiwan just because. Oh man, anything's coming out in Taiwan. You get those Demcos, those Demcos, AliExpress, Wish, whatever, DHgate, 20.S, 20.5. You know, knives you don't see mimicked in China. And you know, they got knives made in China. You know, Buck does. Like, I don't see fake Buck USA knives. There may be some. I bet if they are, there's probably just like what the 110 or something like that. But I don't see, you know, like it seems like they target, you know, the more popular stuff, obviously. But I mean that's what I'll sell. They can't take that kind of risk with stuff that don't sell. But I don't know, man. You know, I kind of went off the rails there. You know, like but it's to me it's all relative. You know, is because there's not really any escaping it in any facet or country. You know, it's going to happen. Well, you know, but you can lessen your odds by trying to keep your business in America. Benchmade's kept their business in America for the most part. It doesn't make them immune. Medford has completely kept his business in America. He doesn't even do business with people who don't do business in America. You know, like you can't say that about Strider. You know, like Strider has fake knives in China, but Strider has been, you know, he's been known to do compilations with Buck, and Buck has been known to make knives in China. So there's a paper trail from Strider to China. You know, like not directly, but the paper trail's there. You know, like, but Medford, you can't say that about Medford. So like, you know, and you guys know that I've owned some of these fake knives. Pretty much just studied myself and just have you know, like something I can beat up on, you know, and get a feel for in my hand. And I'm not condoning. I'm not saying that's right. What I'm saying is, like, you know, you know, like I never own a fake Medford. Medford don't put himself in China. You know, you know, like, but a lot of companies do. A lot of companies just put themselves right in the bed with them, and it's not, you know, the problem with that is like Riot and QSP and a lot of these companies, man, they share addresses with some of the companies like SMKE that do nothing but counterfeit. Yeah, I haven't been over there, but I've heard, you know, like the buildings, a lot of these, like it's not unheard of over there for like Kershaw's and QSP's, artisan cutleries, Riots, a lot of different companies just kind of making their stuff in the same building. Like there's like a couple of really big OEMs over there, and just about everybody's connected to them one way or the other. So we're not really on the tracker anymore. But it was I felt like it was a point, you know, to that kind of, as far as like stealing information, you know, the intellectual properties and stuff like that, you know, it's like dog eat dog, you know, around here, you know, like it really it's like, you know, it's like dog eat dog. And hey, there's a lot of independent knife makers that make the tracker, and just like Van Dreyer knives, they've given credit where credit's due. They made their own version of it. Like Dion was saying earlier, it kind of looks like a kukri. like a kukri slash tracker. I wouldn't disagree with that. Like obviously the blade is clippy, or the edge, the primary edge, the chopping edge is like clippy, but I wouldn't disagree with the fact that it has that kukri type of feel to it overall. But I'm you do your own thing with somebody with an existing style. That's pretty much what knife making is, especially fixed blades. Man, this video is long enough. I'm sorry to keep you this long. It's just kind of a rant and just try to get some information out there about the tracker and my thoughts and my feelings on it. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon.